Hey guys, Evan Rourke here, back with another video, and today we're going to be doing a review on the Bandai 6-inch MechaGodzilla GVK figure. So when it comes to this kind of a figure, guys, there is really a lot of things to love about this figure. I know the design isn't really created a lot by a lot of Godzilla fans. I, for one, actually like it. I think that the MechaGodzilla GVK design is really overhated. I do think there's worse MechaGodzilla designs out there, but in the interest of time, I'm not going to go into that. However, the first thing I want to say off this first really good thing I want to say about this figure is the detail. The detail on this figure is really, really nicely done. I believe they did a really good job at showing the machinery of the figure. They kind of have a lot of minor details. Like, look how minor some of the details are. These little tiny lines in between these giant squares that make an X mark, or these little tiny dents, or rather these kind of like mechanical linear areas here. We have it around the tail here, very precise detail here, under many linear lines here under the tail. And so around the foot of him, hands. I think facial detail is also really nice. I think there's a lot of cool things to like about the facial detail. I think it is really accurate. I think that the teeth, even though they're so tiny, that's how you know detail is good, is that when you spot things that are so tiny, you could tell that they really, really worked on it, because making minor details like that is not an easy thing to do. So detail is really, really good, the best thing about this figure. Now let's get into the next thing I like about this figure. The next thing I like about this figure is articulation. Now, articulation is, I think, fairly above average because Bandai, I've always said this, I'll say it again, there should, for a Bandai figure, at least be 4 joints of articulation, at least 4. And with Spark Dolls, it should be at least 3. And because this is a Bandai, there is 5 joints of articulation. So, yeah, I'd say fairly above average, because if it was 4, it would be average and would still be a pro. But this added an extra joint. I do think there are some room for more joints. Like, I think the head should have a joint. I really think there's no reason not to have one there, but at least they have one in 5 different areas. You have the arms right here. Both of them go 360, as you just saw one of them do. You have the legs here. I guess they can go 360, like kind of like, it's a little bit hard though with the hand right here. See? There you go. And you have the tail. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I think that they did a really nice job with articulation. I think it's fairly better than a lot of the newly released Bandai figures, which I have said are disappointing in the sense that they don't have a lot of articulation. But in this case, they have a fairly good amount. 5 is it's a good number. Of course, I think if they had the head, they would have really outdone themselves. I think maybe the articulation in that case would be the best thing about this figure. Probably couldn't pass the detail, but just maybe, depends. So I do think, yeah, of course, there's always room for improvement. The head could have been improved, but I think the articulation was really, really nice. So let's get into the next thing I like about this figure. So the next thing I like about this figure is the paint job. Now the paint job on this figure is slightly above average because there isn't really anything that stands out. I think because there are only 2 colors, it's like, oh, you know, that's cool. I mean, of course they're trying to be movie accurate, and I get that. I'd like to say that the red spines on the back are pretty booming, which is why it's slightly above average and not average. So again, red is really nice. It's a really nice booming color. But because that's only one other color other than the average silver of the figure, I can't really say it stands out. So much so. Other than it being booming, I'm glad that it's booming, or else this would, again, be average. So, slightly above average for that reason. I think the silver color was nice, though. There are no paint scuffs. That would also make it an issue if there were any, but there aren't any. At least not any noticeable ones. And that being said, let's get into the cons of this figure. Now, when it comes to the cons about this figure, I really only have a mix of a nitpick and a major con that I'm going to get into right now, and that is the mold of the figure. The mold of the figure is, I'd like to say, really, really nice. I think they did a good job on it, except the feet. I don't know if you saw this earlier when I was showing detail on the foot earlier in the beginning of the review, but look at this. This is not good. I mean, it really, really is not good. The only reason why I say it's a mix of a nitpick and a major con and not just a major con is because at least it can still stand. There are molds where it's been like this before, even worse than this, and it can't stand. Even a little bit less than that. There are sometimes cases where, I noticed this with, I think it was the MechaGodzilla 1993 figure, the Bandai figure for that one. The tail was kind of weird with the vinyl, so it kind of leaned back on his tail rather than on the foot. So there's been cases where it has this problem and it can't stand, but at least it can stand here, and it can stand fairly well at that. I just still think it's no excuse. It could be the way it was packaged. I don't know if you all have the same figure and you don't have this issue. When it comes to packaging issues, then you must understand that is not a general figure concern. But that doesn't mean I can't not say that in this review, because to those of you who might think about getting this figure and who are watching this, it might be helpful to know that, because I don't think this is exactly nice to look at, really at any angle. This can't really be fixed at with any angle. You go this way, it looks like this foot is too much down, and this one is too much up in terms of the heel. This one, it just looks like it's kind of like humped over right here on the side. It's not good. But again, it can at least stand. And it's for that reason that I would rate this figure a 9.2 out of 10. It is a really good Bandai figure. I really think without that con, it could have really been well over a 9.5 out of 10. Nothing's a 10 out of 10 though. But again, I truly think that is an unfortunate concern, because I don't know, maybe it doesn't happen to you guys. It really depends. I don't know if some of you have this figure. Could maybe comment down below your experiences with it. But for me, this is not good at all. But anyways, guys, I still recommend you get this figure. It's a really nice Bandai figure, especially a newly released Bandai figure that I can greatly appreciate, because I have a lot of good GVK figures now, and this was a nice collection edition. So, yeah, without further ado, guys, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys later, and bye-bye.